Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 12 of Captain of My Shed. It's episode 3 for the Great Guitar Build-Off. I'm Captain Mikey. This episode was supposed to be all about finishing up the fretboard, getting it stuck to the neck, radiused, smooth, frets in and neck shaped. That didn't happen, reason being I spotted an error early on that I couldn't really accept. So a lot of this video is detailing how I went about fixing that. And right at the end of the video is the result of my fix, and I'm really pleased. I think I've ended up with a detail on the guitar feature that wasn't there before and works really well. So probably better than I had planned originally. So thank you to the mistake gods. Another difference for this video is that I haven't used any music. Hopefully it's not too tedious for you. Let me know. Genuinely interested. I want to know if you think actually it's much better with music, or do you know what? Without music's just fine. You carry on. Enjoy the rest of the video. I'll see you at the other end. We're basically going to glue the fretboard onto the neck. It's a little bit involved, so I thought I'd talk you through my process, how I'm going to get it done. So first things first, make sure you've got a center line marked. What we're going to do is cover the truss rod. And then we're going to cut that tape a bit narrower. And we're going to use this to mask off against the glue so we don't get too much glue down the fret slot. There's probably going to be squeeze out going down there anyway. So it's not the end of the world, I don't think. But still a step that's worth doing, I think. Make sure you got your clamps to hand. You may need many clamps. It just gets trapped in between the layer and skids everywhere. Right. Spreader. Just the tiniest bit of salt. Just pinch that in a couple of areas. I did used to wonder, would the salt compromise the join at all? And I saw a guy do a test using Titebond wood glue, and he had salt, sand. He used all kinds of abrasives in between, and on all of them, when he tried to break the join apart, it was the wood that failed before the glue. So that gave me some confidence in this method. A bit of pressure just to hold its position while I get the clamps on. I'm about ready to start shaping the fretboard now. I don't have a method of clamping. I still don't have a workbench yet. So I drew around the neck on this scrap piece of plywood, cut the shape out, and as long as I keep planing in that direction through the post, I got this 10-inch radius sanding block. It's yeah, the kind of standard stuff you get from eBay. I always find them a little bit short, so I might have to keep checking for level, but it should give me a good shape. Let's get going. I've got relatively close with the hand plane. I'm now going to go to the sanding block and see if we can get a finished profile. A new day here in the shed. Apologies for the background noise. There's some work going on down the street. Sometimes I can't hear myself hammering. This is a little bit wordy, but bear with me. Had a little bit, I wouldn't say disaster. I've got a little problem that I need to resolve because the binding didn't glue. I missed something maybe in the binding. Didn't glue up perfectly level with the bottom of the fretboard. There are areas where that seam is just not. Well, can we see close enough? You see things like that there, and there. For me, that's not acceptable. This is supposed to be a premium instrument. I need to make the nicest guitars that I possibly can. That if I was paying good money for a guitar, that would disappoint me. So that's the problem. What's the solution? Obviously it's a perfect router job, sort of clamp it in a table, put a level or put a fence up that I could run the router along and just run it down that edge with a small 2mm bit. That's the smallest bit I've got. But I still haven't got my workbench, so that's not open to me. I can't use the router, there's nothing to clamp it up to, not properly anyway. So the next best thing is my pillar drill. I've got the little 2mm bit set up in there, and I've made this single use jig. Yeah, sadly that didn't work as well. I mean, it did kind of work, but there were still gaps that I know will just leave a visible glue line. I started routing the other side, and the router bit wandered away. I'm left with a bit of a mess. I still have this template that I cut out. It is slightly bigger than my plans asked for, and my neck is slightly bigger still. So my plan now is to glue and tape the what do we call it, the template to the back of the neck, and then use my flush trim router bit to trim it all flush and start basically from scratch. That does mean I may well lose my binding. If I'm lucky I won't, but so far I haven't been that lucky with this. Okay. What a bloody day. Right, obviously my fretboard has a 10-inch radius already sanded onto it. I need to stick this on in such a way that it doesn't wobble, because eventually I'm going to want to flip this over and run my piece up alongside the bit here. So I can't just glue it on because it will wobble and it will create little wavy lines, etc. Just not doable. So the solution I've got now is to put a bead of sealant, well, it's a filler, a fine filler, down each side of my board here, then down the center some super glue, stick it, leave it, let it set up, and hopefully I'll have a level, solid piece. We're just gonna have to see. Might be a bit of squeeze out, and that's okay. Okay, a bit of a moment of truth here. Whew. Again, nervous. This is one of those days. I don't like today. Today's rubbish. Anyway, let's get going. Still, live and learn, right? Every day's a school day. Okay, I've set up again. I've got like a fairly convoluted system here, but it does mean that I can use my router. Once again, wish me luck. Okay, today has been a mission, but it's also kind of been what woodwork, for me anyway, is all about, and that is you get a problem and you've got to turn your error into a feature perhaps, and that's what I've managed to do here, and I'm really chuffed, I've got to say. It seems really simple what I've actually done in the end, but it took some thinking just because of my limited workspace, the way I can hold things, how I can get my router onto workpieces. We had an ugly glue seam on the fretboard to neck, so I routed that out. I messed it up once. I thought I trashed the whole neck, scared myself witless, but I had enough meat to shave the neck down, start again. I had enough binding as well for that to work, and now I've inlaid the ebony. We just shaved it off. You can't see a glue line there at all. Needs a little bit of sanding back to make it absolutely flush. I've just used the router there to trim that off, but that is a result. Happy days. I'm dead pleased with that, and I think whoever's playing it, looking down on this edge, will be pleased with it too. This gives me a nice line as well to just put some tiny little edge dots on, and I'll figure out how I'm going to do that later on. For now though, dead happy. We've made it. Thanks very much for watching to the end. I really appreciate that. Let me know what you think about this video not having any music, whether you felt that was an issue or not. I want to produce the most interesting, watchable videos I can, but at the same time, if it's a distraction or a waste of time, then yeah, I'd like you to let me know. A lot of this video was about me putting a mistake right and coming up with a decent result. Or the enjoyable side of woodwork for me is when you make a mistake you think could be disastrous, but you get some time to think about it, put a plan into action, the plan comes out good, and you end up with a result potentially, in this case, I think, even better than when you started out the project. Those are big wins, and so I thought it was worth showing on this video. I hope you liked it. Next week we'll be looking more again at usual stuff. We'll put the frets in, we'll shape the neck, we'll start shaping the neck. We'll put a shape on the guitar body, and we'll route out the cavities for the pickups and electronics and the neck pocket as well. So that's next week. The week after that could be something special. But for now, have a good week, enjoy yourselves.